Good day, everyone. Mabuhay. I'm Glenny M. or Precia, a math teacher, teacher 2 from Hermosa National High School. For today's lesson, Mathematics, Quarter 3, Module 2. Lesson number 2, illustrating the side, angle, side, angle, side, angle, and side, 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 congruence postulates. For today's objective, to illustrate the side, angle, side, angle, and side, side, congruence postulates. Let's have a pre-test. Identify what is being asked in each question. Choose the letter of the correct answer. For number 1, the blank congruence postulate states that if 3 sides of one triangle are congruent to 3 sides of another triangle, then the triangles are congruent. Letter A, SSS. Letter B, ASA. Letter C, SAS. Or letter D, AAS. So, what do you think is the answer? So, the answer is SSS, and that is letter E. For number 2, blank is an angle between 2 sides of a triangle. Letter A, included side. Letter B, included angle. Letter C, congruent. Or letter D, angle. So the answer is for number 2, letter B, included angle. Next, number 3. Refer to the figure of a triangle at the right. In triangle ABC, which is the included angle between sides AB and side AC? Letter A, angle B. Letter B, angle C. Or letter C, angle A. So the answer is letter C, and that is angle A. For number 4, same figure, triangle ABC, which is the included side between angle A and angle B. Letter A, side AB. Letter B, side AC. Or letter C, side BC. So the answer is letter A, and that is side AB. For number 5, the blank congruence postulate states that if 2 angles and an included side of one triangle are congruent to 2 angles and an included side of another triangle, then the triangles are congruent. Is it letter A, SSS, letter B, ASA, letter C, SAS, or letter D, AAS? So the answer is ASA, and that is letter B. Let's have a short recall. So last meeting from quarter 3, module 2, lesson number 1, we define what is CP/CTC stands for. And also we differentiate between the included angle and the included side. So what do you mean by included angle? So it is an angle between 2 sides of a triangle. How about the included side? So it is the side common to 2 angles of a triangle. So again, so what is CP/CTC stands for? So CP/CTC, corresponding parts of congruent triangles are congruent. Also, from lesson number 1, quarter 3, module 2, so to prove 2 triangles are congruent, we're now going to list the 6 congruent corresponding parts. So let's try this one. Triangle MON is congruent to triangle DAY. So list down the 6 pairs of congruent corresponding parts. So from the given 2 figures of triangle using the identical mark, we're now going to name the 3 congruent sides. So what's the first one? Side MO is congruent to side DA. What else? side ON is congruent to side AY. And the last one, side MN is congruent to side DY. How about the three congruent angles? The first one is angle M is congruent to angle D. Angle O is congruent to angle A. And the last one is angle N is congruent to angle Y. Okay. So what have you noticed regarding the pictures? What can you say about the pictures? Why are big bridges and buildings stable? Have you ever wondered how bridges and buildings are designed? So what factors are being considered in the construction of buildings and bridges? So congruence of triangles has many applications in real world. Architects and engineers use triangles when they build structures because they are considered to be the most stable of all geometric figures. Triangles are oftentimes used as frameworks, supports for main construction works, and they need to be congruent. Okay, so at this point, we're going to illustrate the side, angle, and side congruence postulates. The first one is SAS, same as side, angle, side. So if two sides and the included angle of one triangle are congruent to the two sides and the included angle of another triangle, then the triangles are congruent. So we have triangle ABC and triangle DEF using the identical mark. So we're going to name the first congruent part. Side AB is congruent to side DE. Angle A is congruent to angle D, and that is the included part, the included angle. Another one, side AC is congruent to side DF. So we have side, angle, side. So there is an included part, and that is the included angle. So therefore, triangle ABC is congruent to triangle DEF. The triangles are congruent by SAS or side, angle, side. Next, ASA, angle, side, angle. Same figures of triangle ABC and triangle DEF. Using the identical mark, we're going to name the first congruent part. So angle A is congruent to angle D. So as you can see, there is an identical mark to prove that angle A is congruent to angle D. Another congruent part, side AB is congruent to side DE. And obviously, it is the included side, the included part. And the last one is angle B is congruent to angle E. So as you can see, as you notice, side AB is congruent to side DE, and that is the included side, and it is the side common between two angles. So we have the angle, side, angle. So therefore, triangle ABC is congruent to triangle DEF. So the triangles are congruent by angle, side, angle. Next, we have SSS, side, side, side. So if the sides of one triangle are congruent to the sides of a second triangle, then the triangles are congruent. So again, we have a triangle ABC and a triangle DEF. So to name the congruent parts using the identical mark, the first one is side AB is congruent to side DE. Another congruent part, we have side BC is congruent to side EF. And the last one, side AC is congruent to side DF. And that is side, side, side. So there is no included part. Then therefore, triangle ABC is congruent to triangle DEF. So the triangles are congruent by SSS. Let's have an example. Complete the statement using the congruence postulate. Triangle RED is congruent to triangle blank. So we're now going to base on the given two figures of triangles. So using the identical mark, you're now going to follow using the vertices or the angles. So triangle RED, obviously, it is congruent to triangle TAG. So you can start from R, congruent to T, followed by E, congruent to A, and then D, congruent to G, using the congruent angles. Next, number 2. Triangle SON is congruent to what triangle? So how can you name the second triangle using the identical mark and the congruent parts? So triangle SON is congruent to triangle SGN. For number 3, again, refer to the given figures. So the triangle COB, so from C followed by O, then V. So we're now going to follow the identical mark. So therefore, triangle COB is congruent to triangle IDV. And point number 4, triangle BIG is congruent to what triangle? So from B, congruent to or side BI, using the identical mark, congruent to side MU. Next, side IG is congruent to side UG. Then therefore, triangle BIG is congruent to triangle MUG. Okay, another example. Missing link. In this activity, the corresponding congruent parts are marked. Indicate the additional corresponding parts needed to make the triangles congruent by using the specified congruent postulate. Point number 1, ASA. Refer to the figures at the right. So there is a congruent angle, obviously. So we have the congruent side. So we're now going to, using the identical mark, so we're now going to find the missing congruent parts to complete ASA. So, what do you think is the missing part or the missing congruent part? Okay, so the answer for number 1 is yes, angle A is congruent to angle D. How about number 2? Side, angle, side. So there is a given congruent side, congruent angle. So there is a missing congruent side. And what is that? So side BC is congruent to side EF. For number 3, side, side, side. Refer to the given figure at the right. So obviously, side AB is congruent to side CD. What else? Side BC is congruent to side DA. So therefore, there is one missing congruent side. And obviously, there is one common side between two triangles, and that is side AC is congruent to side CA. Point number 4, SAS. So refer again to the given figures of two triangles. So obviously we have triangle LET, L-E-T, and triangle HAS. So using the identical mark, so there is a congruent side and also a congruent angle. So therefore, the missing one is the congruent side. So therefore, for number 4, the answer is side LE is congruent to side HS. For number 5, angle, side, angle. So there is an identical mark between angle E and angle A, and that is one congruent angle. Also a congruent side. So therefore, the missing congruent part is angle to complete ASA. So the answer is angle T is congruent to angle S. Okay? Another one, name the congruence postulate using the identical mark. For figure number 1, using the identical mark, so what do you think? There is an included part in between two sides. So therefore, there is an included angle. So therefore, the congruence postulate is SAS. Number 2. Using the identical mark, there is one congruent side in between two angles. So therefore, it is ASA. And for number 3, so obviously the answer is side, side, side. Okay. Let us now summarize on what you have learned. So let us now find out how much you have learned from this module. So fill in the correct word or statement that verifies the triangles are congruent. Two triangles are congruent if the blank parts are equal. So what do you think is the magic word? Okay, corresponding. Blank is an angle between two sides of a triangle. Okay, and that is included angle. Next, in blank, congruence postulate, two triangles are congruent if two sides and one included angle in a given triangles are equal to the corresponding two sides and one included angle in another triangle. So, the answer is side, angle, side, same as SAS. Next, the blank congruence postulate states that if three sides of one triangle are congruent to three sides of another triangle, then the triangles are congruent. So obviously, the answer is side, 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 same as SSS. And last, the blank congruence postulate states that if two angles and an included side of one triangle are congruent to two angles and an included side of another triangle, then the triangles are congruent. So it is angle, side angle, same as ASA. Okay? So let's have a short quiz. So you can prepare a piece of paper and then try to answer the following. So it divides into 3 categories. So we have an easy, moderate, and difficult. First question for easy. Which postulate can you use to prove the triangle is congruent? Using or refer to the given figures using the identical mark. So is it letter A, SSS, letter B, SAS, C, ASA, or D, not congruent? Okay, so the answer is, okay, so the answer is letter C, angle, side, angle postulate. Our next question for easy. So again, refer to the given figure. So which postulate can you use to prove the triangle is congruent? Is it A, B, C, or D? So the answer is side, side, side postulate. That is letter A. Next, again, which postulate can you use to prove the triangle is congruent based on the given figures? Letter A, SSS, B, SAS, C, ASA, or letter D, not congruent? The answer is letter A. Next, first question for moderate. Given side QR is congruent to side UT, side RS congruent to side TS, and triangle QRS is congruent to triangle UTS. So what is the congruent part to make the triangles congruent by SSS? So we need another congruent part to complete SSS. Okay? The answer is for number 1. So side QS is congruent to side US. Next question. Given triangle VXW is congruent to triangle ZXY, what is the congruent part to make the triangles congruent by SAS? Side, angle, side. Using the identical mark. Okay. The answer is, okay, using 3 letters, angle ZXY is congruent to angle VXW, or same as X. Or angle 2, using the number, angle 2 is congruent, or angle 2 is congruent to angle 1. Angle 1 is congruent to angle 2. Next, the third one. If side RS congruent to side RQ, and side CT is congruent to side QT, and a triangle QRT is congruent to triangle SRT, what is the other congruent part? So we have the first congruent part is side, another side. So obviously, the other congruent part is side RT is congruent to side TR. Obviously, there is a common side between two triangles. And that is SSS. Next, for difficult question number 1. If triangle ABC is congruent to triangle EDF, find the congruent parts and state the postulate. So obviously using the identical mark to find the answer for number 1. The answer is, okay. So we have side AB congruent to side ED. Side AC is congruent to side EF. Side BC is congruent to side DF. And that is side, side, side. For number 2. If triangle ABC is congruent to triangle ZXY, find the congruent parts and state the postulate. Again, using the identical mark, we're now going to name the 3 congruent parts between 2 triangles. And name what kind of postulate. Okay, so time is up. The answer is, so side BC is congruent to side YX. Side AC is congruent to side ZX. So angle C is congruent to angle X. And that is side, angle, side. So obviously there is an included part, and that is angle. Next, the third one. LOVE or LOVE is a rhombus with diagonal LV. Name the congruent parts and state the postulate used. Okay. So the answer is, so side LE is congruent to side BO. Side EV is congruent to side OL. Side LB is congruent to side LB or side BL. And that is side, side, side. Okay. So I hope you understand and clear. So thank you for listening. So for your assignment, picture perfect. Design and patterns having the same size and the same shape are seen in almost all places. You can see them in bridges, buildings, towers, even in furniture, fabrics, and handicrafts that you will see inside your house. So in this part of the lesson, take at least 5 photos of different objects inside or even outside your house that shows triangle congruency and justify why these triangles are congruent. Okay, that's all. Thank you and God bless.